Another video request. Mark Del Rio. Hi Kyle, how are you? Next video request, can you please talk about your thoughts on street performing in general? Also, if you had the chance to do that kind of thing, then what would you like to perform? Whatever your main specialty will be and why. Thank you and have a nice day. What do I think about street performing? I think it's cool. I think it brings life to the city, life to the community. In the modern world, the whole sense of community is kind of going away. People live in their suburban neighborhoods where people just go in and out of their houses, and there's no corner store, and there's not as many parks, and the neighbors don't really talk to each other. And when you go downtown, you would go and buy something and go home, and there's cities, the new developments aren't really being built with like pedestrian malls and this kind of a thing as much. And street performers are a great glue to bring society together. Kind of like in the past where you'd have the church, where everybody would go to the church and the pastor would be the street performer, and they're in the middle of the church preaching to the people and talking. Street performers, I think, any town with a lot of street performers, it's great to just go out and just people watch, watch all the people, like 30 people gathered around somebody, watch the people watching the person, watch the person, and then go to the next street performer. And it's a great way to bring the culture together and the people together. It's interesting. It's cool to watch people do stuff in real life. Boulder, where I'm from, has a lot of street performers. And you'd have the same guys out in the same area, for years at a time. And they can do really cool stuff. We got some Rasta guy who's really flexible and can fit himself inside boxes and do the splits. And then there's some dude who can throw cards really far. There's some kid who knows the zip code of every single town in America. You just name the town and he knows the zip code to it. And then you could just get beggars who say stuff interesting, like write poems or whatever on the cardboard, and I think it's funny. And I think the beggars are kind of like, I guess they're street performers. They decorate the common area for everybody else, sit around and bring life to it. And as long as they're not harassing people for money, I don't think it's begging for money is a bad thing. I mean, you don't have to give money to them. I don't give money to street beggars. They're all over Boulder, more than anywhere else I've seen. But the street performers are people who I like them. I think they're cool. Now, I thought about being a street performer. I think being a street performer is like doing a new kind of street performance is cool. I like original stuff. I like the people who do the physical stuff. If I were a street performer, I like to multitask. So if I was a street performer, I'd like to be doing something that's good for me, that's making me a better person, while I'm making money on the street. So I would do something like, I do physical stuff, I get really flexible and I do the splits for people, and then I do backflips and handstand push-ups and stuff for people. That would be my street performing. It'd be kind of like going to the gym, but getting paid for it and being under the sun. And that's what I would do. But also preaching. I think that's a cool way for street performer. Like the end of the world. The end of the world is nigh. Jesus is gonna follow Jesus, or the devil's gonna burn your soul. That kind of stuff. People out there talking, thinking they're making the world a better place, is commendable, and I think it can be a good, beneficial to the people around them. I mean, if people go to the church and watch some dude blab about what his religious beliefs, then why not just some street guy, If it becomes more of a cultural thing, then that street guy could actually be quite good and could make money just from donations, from speaking his truth, and then he could pass out the pamphlets, or little like cards or something, little educational things, or show graphs with his little, black whiteboard that he brings with him. I don't know. Now, if you're talking really loud, I mean, I think street performing needs to be completely like regulated, though. Not totally anarchical. You should be able to get permits, and if somebody, there should be a certain like decibel noise level maximum that you can have, and a certain amount of feet that separate. When you go to like outdoor concerts with a lot of different bands, you would have a band, and you can totally hear the band when you're within the band group, but then you move out of their area, and then you're in another area, and you can hear the other band. Set it up kind of like that, so then that way street performers can make as much noise as they want, and and it's all spread out evenly to the next street performer, so they don't have to squabble with each other, and they have the permit. So some new street performer can't take the dude's spot and be like, well, fuck you, I got here first. It's like, well, I've got the permit, so get out of here or I'll call the cops. And so, it should be like that. And now, if they should pay rent or something, well, it should be totally organic, I mean, if it becomes crowded and a lot of street performers start making a ton of money, then I think the government should start, charging a little bit of money for their spot, but just start from the good ground up and the basics, and I think every town should have soapboxes, where they just permanent soapboxes that are built out of stone, and then have them written on the stone like, this is dedicated for Saturdays for people to jump up on top of and speak their mind, and we used to have that at the Boulder Fair. I don't know if they still do. They have it on Saturdays in, Hyde Park in Sydney. So yeah, that kind of stuff. I saw a lot of street performers in Barcelona, Spain, and they're really creative there. They're really interactive with the audience, making eye contact with the audience and try to make them sit down and pay them and stuff. And but they're really creative. A lot of people like standing as statues, though. A lot of people do that in Spain. It's a little bit too much. In Boulder, they're more creative, and people have more talents. You don't have to be very talented to paint yourself and stand. But yeah, talents, man. I think street performing should be a place where if somebody has a certain talent, they should get out there and be sharing it. It's all about sharing, but actually, like a flesh and blood scenario where the people are actually there and everything. That'd be cool. I thought of one thing you could do where you could just meditate for a month, go into the pedestrian mall, and just sit there like this for a month. I told my mom I was going to do that. She's like, no way, people make fun of you. Oh. But, in a world where people are open-minded and tolerant, you could do something like that. So yeah, I think the future of street performing is pretty bright. I think there's going to be I think every town will have their pedestrian area in the middle, like the square or whatever, and there'll always be street performers there, and then it's just the place you go if you want to socialize and be around people, because humans are social beings. Okay, peace out.